Stop the cap.
This is going to be out of the order of the videos that I intended to upload. But this Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case is showing a lot. It really is more like exposing a lot, and it really shows for me just how deep the hatred runs, which I've already known, but I'm hoping that other black people are seeing this. African Americans should be the most heavily armed group of people in America. Point blank period. I mean, I just looked at the numbers, you get all the black people, oh, we got guns in the South, and 24% of black people acknowledge, African Americans acknowledge being a gun owner. 38% of white people acknowledge being a gun owner. So it's like 25% of us, and if we're rounding up, 40% of them are gun owners. Black people don't take gun ownership as seriously as they should, and self-defense as seriously as they should, to protect yourself in the moment. We know that the justice system is rigged against us and all that other shit, but I'm saying to protect yourself in the moment. I stand on what I said about, when it came to the Muslims. People talk about it, they're crazy, they're wild as shit. They running around screaming Allahu Akbar. But when them white folks went out there and they was, thought it was going to be hee hee ha ha, I'm going to draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad. And after those Muslims ran over a couple of white people and killed a bunch of them, only then did white people stop, fucking around, poking the bear, drawing pictures of the Prophet Muhammad, talking about it's my free speech. Only then did they stop doing. We ain't seen a Prophet Muhammad drawing since, right? With them running around just poking the bear. And you know why they did it? They did it because they feel that, nobody has the authority or the ability to check them about anything that they do. White people are the most pathetically inconsistent when it comes to morality. I don't even know why black people pay attention to them, because they're not consistent. These are the people that you get your white Jesus from. These are the people who say, that that you and them worship the same God, right? They gave you the Bible. The Bible was in English. It wasn't in Mende. It wasn't in Yoruba. It wasn't in Igbo. It was in English. Even Africans in Africa read their Bible in English, with the exception of the Ethiopians. But when it comes to West Africa, we got that shit from the Europeans. And then not only that, they gave black people a slave Bible. They took all the stuff in there about, Exodus and, having, being freed and all that shit. They took all that shit out, all the stuff about the the supposed Jews being, slaves in Egypt. They didn't want you getting the freedom narrative. They wanted you to get the obey your earthly masters narrative. Right? And I don't know why there's so many black people who can't shade it. Y'all desperately cling on to white Jesus for dear life. It's so cringe. It's just so incredibly cringe when you look at how, these white people are. It's like you're running around trying to get spirituality literally from Satan. Literally from Satan. I mean, like I said in my other video, these people have a documented history of racialized domestic terrorism. And I mean, I'm looking at all these comments, I'm looking at all these videos, white people trying to act like they're the victim. Show it to me. Show me these all white communities that black people went in and burnt down to the ground. You know what I mean? Show me where this went on. Show me where there's these lynch mobs of black people burning, killing, maiming white people, en masse. Like, show me where this is fucking going on. Now or in the past. Then you get the conflation again of the economic crime and trying to claim that economic crimes because, black people are disproportionately poor. So you're going to see black people disproportionately committing things like home invasion and armed robberies and shit like that. Uh, 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 you know, they try to act like that's the same as a hate crime. You go over to the FBI statistics, freaking black people are the number one victims of hate crimes, and it's always been that way. Like the other groups aren't even a close second. It's not even close. It's not even close. The anti-blackness and the hate of black people is real, and like I said in my previous video, it's fear based. They're terror. They know what they did to black people, and they're running around, trying to do this like reverse psychology bullshit, gaslighting like a motherfucker, trying to equalize, make these false equivalences that I mean just don't make any sense. Black guy robs a liquor store and kills the clerk who happens to be white, and that's the same as the Buffalo shooter who went into the supermarket with the sole purpose of just killing black people. Like, these are the type of false equivalences that these guys that they make, right? Completely ignoring the situation and the circumstances that caused and led that black man down that path. The whole history of denying black people access to capital and resources, and they're the poor and downtrodden. Right. Like I said, America has the black people it deserves. White people did literally everything in their power to keep black people down. Literally. I mean, they literally put policies in place. Like I wrote on my community tab, like y'all be running around talking about the power of Christ compels you and all this bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't pay attention to what white people give us. They give us the church. They give us the Bible. You can build us. They'll give us resources to build a church. But yet they'll create laws to make sure that you don't have access to firearms, to make sure that you have difficulty being able to vote, right? They'll create laws to make sure that you can't move into a particular area, a particular neighborhood, so that you can't share in the equity of the homes, right? Right? These are the things that they do, right? Make sure that you don't have access to capital, right? But at the end of the day, just looking at it, this whole case, white people are all but hurt. They cheer when, a black person dies, and the black person that dies wasn't even attacking anybody. You know what I mean? Or like with George Floyd being arrested. He didn't attack the police officer. He was being arrested. He was doing drugs. And so the fuck what? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that he deserved to die. Oh, well, he was I think he had like a sexual assault charge, or was a predator or something like that. I'm like, that has nothing to do with that moment in that instance when that cop pulled him over, you know what I mean, and had him arrested and had his knee on his neck. It has nothing to do with that. They bring up irrelevant shit, into these situations. Trying to bring up black stats on crime has nothing to do with what happened here between these two high school boys. I see a bunch of 17-year-olds basically acting 17. That's what the fuck I see. You know what I mean? But they brought race all into it. And bottom line, because I'm getting away from myself, what it comes down to is literally these white folks think that they should be able to kill black people with impunity. And that black people, how dare we? We're not allowed to respond. We're not allowed to defend ourselves. This is consistent with them. You know what I'm saying? They like white people talk like white people talk like we were born yesterday. Like white people talk like they don't have a track record. It's like, motherfucker, we know who you are. We know what you're about. You know what I mean? I used to run around, with the white people or individuals and everything, right? And I'm saying it's the correct thing to say that people are individuals. However, white people consistently show us the same behavior. You know what I'm saying? And they actually have a choice. They're not marginalized. They're not discriminated against. You know what I mean? You go anywhere across America, the nice neighborhoods are where the white people live, and yet somehow white people are we're so oppressed. We're so oppressed. And a lot of this angst and this animosity and the hatred really comes out of the fact that white people are growing more and more mad at the fact that their quality of life is going down, and it's going down because the white oligarchs are freaking literally taking all of the wealth. And you know when it started? You know what the real point and started? I mentioned this on my community tab before. The real point that this white quality of life really started to go down was when Dodge sued Ford, and Ford won, or excuse me, Dodge won the case, which set the precedent for shareholder primacy. And shareholder primacy is where, corporations have an obligation and a duty to pay shareholders first before dishing out any resources to employees. The people that actually make and improve, the success of the company, they're secondary. It's to the investors first. That right there, that is the conception of the quality of life of the middle class going down in the 21st century. And yet, as always, white people, they love to just punch down. They love to for a punching bag, and black people are tired of being white dusty people's fucking punching bag. Sick and tired of the shit. And I'm saying this is in a greater context. This is beyond just what's going on with these teenagers. No, the fact of the matter is the anger that you're seeing is because white people feel that they should be able to accost and put down black people with impunity. And how dare this nigga rear up at us or raise up at us and react, the way that Anthony or that Carmelo Anthony did. How dare they? And what's so stupid, just to highlight the racism, right? It's a track meet. No, the track, apparently the track is nowhere near the school. They like rent it out, or the whoever owns the track rents it out to the school so that they can have their event or whatever. Because not every school, I guess, has a track. I don't know, but I'm saying, what was I saying? I was about to say something. My phone's dying. Hold on. I remember what I was going to say. Yeah. So apparently there, as the spokesperson for the family said, which I already suspected. I said that in my first video. I'm like, it's a sporting event. Oh, there's cameras. Oh, there's definitely cameras. There's people, there's parents videotaping their own kids. There's the recruiters videotaping the kids. There's the security cameras, right? There's other people with their personal phones. I'm like, oh, this fight guaranteed is going to be, on camera. And you got one of the witnesses saying, which, to me, unreliable, because unfortunately the brother can't articulate himself properly. And so, that's going to come into question because he can't even form a sentence properly. But I'm saying he said the twins were, somewhere else and they came over to Anthony, which means, it's 2-on-1. And I'm saying white people, like, if there's a video, right, why not just wait for the video to come out? And then we decide, like, what actually happened. You got people reading the police report. The police report the police report is not a definitive recording, of events. It's an initial recording of events, and that can change. That could change. Oh, what happened? Oh, people, what people are saying is limited. He's just trying to gather the information and get a sense of what happened. Like the parts that get ignored, like there was a dispute. Okay, what was said during the dispute? Was every word of the back and forth between Metcalf and Carmelo, was that recorded in there? No. They had an altercation. They had a dispute. That doesn't say what was said, what was going on. There's only like 2 lines of what Anthony said. But the tone, how things were said, were they said aggressively? None of that is in there. Yeah, but you got people like, oh, see, it says it in the police report. I'm like, that is not the full story. Like, I'm like, if there's a video, why do I need the interpretation of the police officer that wasn't there when it happened? He came there later, right? And then he's gathering information secondhand from other people, conveying the what happened to him, trying to gather the information and then writing a police report. Do you think that's going to be more accurate, or the actual fucking video? What do you think is going to be more accurate? So, like, you get these white people, they making videos like, oh, the police report. I'm like, why don't you just wait for the video to come out? Because if the video comes out and it starts showing the two brothers as the aggressors, right? And it looks bad for them. Oh no, I want all these white people making all these videos. I want you to kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even know why people do that, because like that's what happens when especially with the energy that these people have. I'll be the first one to say, hey, I don't know exactly what happened there. I'm waiting for the facts to come out. I'm waiting for all of the details. That's what I'm waiting for. Because even with Austin's brother that was up there, he's like, oh, I won't say anymore. I highly doubt that they went over there with the Queen's English and they were like, my good sir, could you please sit over somewhere else? I highly doubt that shit. I'm almost positive it was aggressive as fuck. Like, again, going back to my video that I talked about with that whole white people trying to regulate black people. Just like that video, with the black young Nigerian boy sitting underneath the tailgate, and you had the one white boy aggressively tell the cameraman, he's blocking the TV and he needs to get the fuck out of the way. And the Nigerian guy was like, yo, you don't need to curse at him like that. And the white guy, he's like, that's my tent, that's my this, which he was right. It was his tent. But he was obviously, the other white guys that he was sitting there doing the interview with didn't have a problem, but he was all butthurt about it. I guess what? What do you want me to interview you? You want to be the, are we back to freaking malignant narcissism? That you're mad because you're not being interviewed, or the camera's not on you to have a discussion with, right? And then the father comes through and he's trying to explain the situation, to the older white man, and you could tell the condescension, just the dismissiveness, of it all. The you're beneath me type of tone. You see? That's the type of energy that white people bring on a regular basis. And I don't know why black people are out here fucking with them. Personally, I don't care if black people, crash out in response to these sort of racist interactions, because I do want it to be to a point where white people say to themselves, leave them niggas alone. Leave them alone. They're not there yet. Because they ain't had enough L's. When white people get enough L's, they're gonna run around and say, leave them alone. Just like when it comes to the Muslims, they leave them the fuck alone, because they know that they'll crash the fuck out. A motherfucker, start running people over with his white truck, or run into a building screaming Allahu Akbar and shit. You know what I mean? Hey, people can say what they want. Them Muslims with them sandals, they ain't the ones to fuck with. They not the ones to fuck with. They will crash the fuck out on your ass. And we've seen that. And so, you can say what you want. And I've seen a couple soldiers, they talk about that shit. They'll be like, hey, man, them motherfuckers fight, man. You can say what you want about them. And I killed X amount when I was in, Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever. You know what I mean? But you're in their country and they're fighting to get you the fuck out of there. You gotta, sorry, but you gotta respect it. You gotta respect it. But when it comes to these white folks, I don't know why so many black people play with them. They play with them. Just like the black people in the UK, all over there thinking shit is sweet. And then when them riots hit, right? When them white people were storming the street because of that Rwandan, was he Rwandan? What was he? He was from Zimbabwe, I think he was. With his mental illness, right? And then they went after the Muslim community first. Then they realized, oh, it's not the Muslim. They assumed it was the Muslim community. just to show you how much they jump off of stereotypes, right? Because it's not common, for this a stabbing situation like that. That's not common. And he was Christian, and he was a but not an immigrant. He was born there, but his parents were immigrants. So they were, everybody was surprised about that, but they went off and they were, fucking with the Muslims initially, on that. But I'm just saying, I remember seeing that video of a black woman, and she was crying, and guy was trying to get her home and everything. And maybe it's just because she's a woman, and I don't know what it's like to be a woman and be weak and frail, and anybody can just come and fuck you up. And even being in the UK, and that whole idea of just being in the UK and you just walking around lacking, and you ain't got no protection, and you're in this majority white country, and you're only 3% of the population, and anytime they get mad at something, right? Because they'll blame the entire group. They'll blame the entire group because of the actions of one minority. They'll just go off and be like, that's why we got. And see, the thing is that's how they really feel about you. But yet, whenever I see these black people crying and they like, I just never knew there was so much hate in the world. I'm like, see, you done drank the Kool-Aid. That's your problem. You drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking shit. They don't fuck with you. They don't like you. They don't want you there. They don't want you to. They don't want to be around you. Right? And black people running around trying to, push all this equality. I get it when it comes to the material stuff, right? Because truth be told, if the resources were divvied up, fairly, then we wouldn't have this problem. Separate, but yeah, it's supposed to be separate but equal, but we all know it wasn't separate but equal during American apartheid, during the era of Jim Crow. If it was separate but equal, we wouldn't have a problem. Black people wouldn't have to try to get into white movie theaters or get into white diners and whatnot. And on top of that, if white people never burnt down, the shit that black people did have. They say, oh, you niggas need to have your own. Every time black people had their own, here comes, some altercation happens between the white person and the black person, and the white people, take a L. Then they get mad, and then they come into the black community and burn the whole community down based off of people that had nothing to do with it. That has nothing. They do that because they're already jealous. They already have, they gotta have that, superiority complex. I don't know why Thomas got a piano. I ain't got a piano. That type of bullshit. I ain't never seen a nigga on a horse. How did he get a horse? Again, especially when it comes to the white proletariat, right? The poor whites are the biggest problem, right? Because the poor whites, they're the ones that want to put hands on you, and they're the ones that are right in front of you, right? Even though it's the white oligarchs that are fucking everybody over. But the poor whites, they're the motherfuckers that you got to put in the dirt because they're the ones that will try it. And it's just the way that it is. But seriously speaking, when looking at this whole situation, these white people are big mad. You know what I mean? Big mad because, they want to be able, they do not want you to be able to respond, and they want to be able to do whatever they're going to do to you with impunity. They want to be the final authority on what is, righteous or just. They want to be the final authority on that shit. They want to be able to be dead wrong and still come out on top. That's what they want. Because it's about power. It's not about justice. It's not about righteousness. It's not about having the sweet twinkle of white Jesus in your eye. It's not about, the true principles of Christianity. That's why I said these people are pathological. I don't know why you play with them. Don't play with them. Point blank, period. I know we gotta, function together, in a modern society. But, when it comes to white people, y'all should always be, speaking softly and carrying a big stick. Point blank, period. And I don't care how white people feel about that. That is what black people should be doing. Because, again, they have a track record of racialized domestic terrorism. And y'all be running around. White Jesus is going to protect me. I don't need to have a gun. I don't need pepper spray. I don't need this. I don't need that. And then all of a sudden they get a hair in the crack of their ass. You can have a motherfucker that want to fuck you up and knock you over the head because some black dude was fucking his girlfriend and stole his girlfriend or something. He mad now. You know what I mean? And you just going about your day and this motherfucker is blacking out on you. You're like, who the fuck are you talking to? Where the fuck is this coming from? You don't even know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's coming from. They mad because the black guy got promoted over them, so now they're gonna bitch and say it's all about DEI or some shit like that. And now they having a road rage with you. This motherfucker's trying to brake check you, and it was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's in the car screaming, "These goddamn niggas!" Ah! Like, and you sit there, you just trying to get home. You see, and this is why I'm like, y'all need to stop playing with them. Stop playing with them. There's only one question black people should be asking whenever they get into an altercation with these white people. Stop bumping gums with them. You're not going to convince them to not be white supremacists. You only got to ask one question. And make sure you got your fire on you when you do. Are you trying to prevent me from getting home? If they say yes, if that's an affirmative, then you know what time it is. That's all you have to ask. Don't even engage in bumping gums with them. It's pointless. It's pointless. Because you see that with all these videos that they're putting out about this case. I'm like, there's a video, why don't you just wait till the video comes out and then we can all have a discussion about whether lethal force was justified or not. Right? We can have a discussion about that. Right? And to me, that's the big question. Like, was lethal force justified? Not whether he had a knife on him. I'm like, it's Texas. People have fucking knives on them. And then again, the other aspects of the hypocrisy, when it came to, Kyle Rittenhouse having his AR-15 and all their, it's a Second Amendment constitutional carry, I have a right to self-defense and all this other shit. White people want to carry any weapon they want whatsoever, however they want to carry it. That's what they want to do. But yet they're bitching about, why did he have a knife? I mean, that's like their number one argument right now. Why did he have a knife? From the same people who want to walk into Starbucks with a fucking bazooka on their back. But black people need to, take a more, defensive posture when it comes to these people. Because this is how they feel. Right? All these people in the comment sections, all these people foaming at the mouth, all these comments, right? Think about the thousands of comments, right? The tens of thousands, because some of these videos got retarded views and comments and shit like that. I got to remember I'm on a little small channel, right? But these are the people that you work with, right? These are the people that work at the police station. These are the people that do the hiring. These are the people that work at the recruiting agencies when they see, Keisha Jackson on the application. These are the people that are foaming in the mouth, right? In all these comment sections on YouTube. These are the people that work regular jobs, right? These are the PSENG guys that come to your house to fix the electricity, the plumber. These are the people that are teaching your kids, right? And your son, is failing, right? And you got, Becky the racist, teaching your child in school, it isn't investing in your child. You saw that shit with the and that little child was biracial. You saw that white lady, she went over and hugged the 3 little white children after the dance competition and then just like ignored, the little biracial girl. You know what I mean? Like these people have, occupations in society where you will be affected. You sitting there wondering why, why this didn't happen for you or that didn't happen for you. And you got this white person that, every night hops on YouTube and starts foaming at the mouth and writing racist comments on YouTube about a case that all the details haven't even come out of. All the, oh, it's reverse racist. Oh my God, it's reverse racist. You know, all this white people are the victim shit. No, white people are agitated and they're pissed off because their money is all fucked up because the white elites are fucking them over. But instead of taking all that energy and all that smoke and directing it at the white elites, they go and they find any racialized case or incident for them to act like black people are the problem and we need a final solution. That's what they do. And y'all sitting around, I don't see y'all in the gun shop like I need to see y'all in the gun shop. Y'all ain't ready for the moment that they decided they want to crash out. The Jews made that mistake. They made that mistake in Germany. They were, marrying Germans. They were freaking, speaking German, right? They thought everything was sweet in Germany until the man with the funny mustache came up and was like, nah, off to the cattle cars with you. Right? Just again, go look at the photos of Baba Yar in Poland. Right? Go look at the photos of Dachau and Auschwitz. Right? Like, we're right there. Like, we're right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all act like that's just fantasy. No. These white people could just turn on us collectively at any moment. And y'all running around talking about, I got white Jesus on my side. Stupid ass is sitting up in church every fucking Sunday acting like you're protected. Friggin' white Jesus didn't protect those black churchgoers from the white boy that shot up the AME church. Right? Where was white Jesus then? Right? White Jesus can't even protect you in his own house. So how the fuck is white Jesus going to protect you when you out here walking these streets? Explain it to me. Go ahead, Christians. Explain it to me. You're not making sense. You're not using your brain. You're using the religion that has been warped and twisted by the people who gave it to you. And you're using that version, that system. Here, I'm even giving you a little out. Because you can sit there and be like, well, yeah, that's right. There's Christians in Africa. I don't see you trying to learn whatever the Ethiopian language is and read that Bible that they took a whole bunch of chapters out of at the Council of Nicaea in 632 AD. But you ain't going to talk about that one. Right? I'm saying, why don't you go to the source? No, because you like the white Jesus Disney version, Jesus of Nazareth, Passion of Christ type Jesus. That's the Jesus that you like. You like your Jesus white. You like hippie Jesus. You like Woodstock 1969 Jesus. That's the Jesus that y'all like. Because you got inferiority complex, you're self-hating, you pedestalize whiteness and white people and white things. That's just the reality. And when it comes to like what I said in my last video about mastering the English language and speaking the Queen's English, it's not about freaking it being the Queen's English and it's a white people thing. It's the language that you use on a daily basis. Like I wrote on my community tab, this isn't like Pythagorean theorem. This isn't the Hardy-Weinberg equation. This isn't the Nernst equation. This isn't Pastel's law or Boyle's law or some shit that like you don't use on a daily basis. This is what you use every damn day. And if you can't master the very thing that you use every day to speak and communicate with other people, then all else is lost. You can't master anything else because you don't even master the thing that you use every day, which is your vocalization of words. That's why it's a fucking problem. I don't care what language you speak. Master it. So, that's all the little pep talk I gotta give. But y'all need to stop playing with these white folks, man. Y'all should be over there on Palmetto State Armory, getting you a PSA dagger, get you a PSA micro dagger, get you a nice little Hollow Sun Red Dot. You know what I'm saying? Get you some HST rounds and call it a motherfucking day. Get you a nice little holster, a little Kydex holster. Get you a crossbreed holster or whatever. That's a Christian organization. So you like Christ so much, right? And call it a day. Stop playing with these people. Y'all be playing too much. Acting like, like the light of Christ is going to fucking wash over them and that their heart's going to grow like the Grinch. I'm like, that ain't going to happen, man. Y'all need to stop. They're pathological. Treat them as such. They're pathological. They prove it every day. Every day. People say, oh, that's racist for you to. They prove it every day. They have all the freedom in the world and they demonstrate their pathology. They're not a marginalized people, right? They weren't redlined. They weren't stuffed in the ghettos. They didn't have their communities bulldozed and destroyed, right? They didn't have situations where they're the first to be fired and last to be hired, right? They're not discriminated against in any collective way. Right? Even all the woke shit that they talk about. Again, the left came through, the liberals, they came through and they pushed all the gay shit. They weren't pushing black shit. Black people can't get anything done. We can't get reparations. We can't get a fucking crime bill against the fucking police. What are black people getting? What are black people receiving? And then this is where they try to come to, it's the welfare, it's the welfare. And the biggest group of people who need welfare are white people. And we see this with all these white people bitching, all these damn farmers bitching, looking for handouts from the government, from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, looking for handouts, right? But we don't call it that. We call it subsidies when it's white people. Right. And again, most of the assistance programs that would benefit white people were eradicated because white people, that's how badly white people don't want black people to have access to any of that stuff. If it ain't exclusively for white people, well, shut it down. Shut it down because we just can't have so much as one lazy black person getting this, so no white people will be receiving this because I think I saw a lazy black person go and sneak in through the back door. So we're just going to shut all this down. And that's literally what they did. It's literally what they did. And now they mad because they cut their nose off to spite their face. And the fucking rich people are sitting there laughing at them and whatnot. Just like this inside trading with Trump. Oh, tariffs. Oh, the economy is fucking crashing. Oh, now's a good time to buy. And then all of a sudden goes back. Like, the fuck? Then he's sitting in the office bragging about how, and he just made $1 billion and he made $2 billion. Introduce you to Charles Schwab. Like, really? Really? And y'all sitting over there talking about the biggest problem in America is the niggas. Like, God, man, have white people always been this dumb? Have they always been this way? You know what I mean? Like, or is it is it just gotten worse recently? Like more recently it's gotten worse because I think it's gotten worse recently because they're more agitated because their money's all fucked up. Right? Because life is expensive. So $2,000 rent and shit. Now they're feeling all the shit that black people were previously complaining about. But when they thought they were good, it was, shut up, nigger. You're just mad. You need to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. Now we sitting over there laughing at them. Oh, white boy, where's your bootstraps at? And now they mad and shit. I mean, that's all I see. They mad. They so mad. They're so butthurt. And honestly, all the hype in this around this case, in my opinion, I don't think it's organic. I think it's like I said, they love, there's nothing the oligarchs love more than hot button issues. Hot button issues, the way to keep people divided, because they know as long as people are divided, they don't have to worry about any outside threats. When it's they're organized. Like they're on the same team. They're on team rich people. But everybody else, nah, they got to make sure that they maintain that post Bacon's rebellions dynamic. They got to keep that shit going. And white people, they fall for that shit hook, line, and sinker. I mean, it's just they cannot help themselves. Like fucking what's his name he posted some bullshit on his community tab, some fucking Legion of Men, right? He posted where's this thing at? Where's this at? So he posted this post on his community tab. Let me read exactly what it says. Just to show you. Why is this? Don't tell me this is like frozen. Anyway, let me not do that because last time I did that, my shit crashed in the video. But anyway, he put some post about 77% of the rapes in France are by foreign nationals, and that is so far from the truth. No, it's 87% of the accused rapes in France are by nationals, and 13% are from foreign nationals. And then 77% of the cases solved are of foreign nationals. So basically, France is only solving the rape cases of foreign nationals. I'm like, why aren't you solving the other, the 87% of the or it shouldn't be 87% because those are just accused cases. But I'm saying, why aren't you solving the majority of the cases that involve nationals and not foreign nationals, but actually the domestic nationals, right? But then I know that the white supremacists will try to come through and they'll be like, yeah, but you got people there that they're not ethnically French and they're citizens, so they're classified as nationals. And then I'm like, well, you'd have to break that number down, even further. But again, the argument is now, white men don't rape. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck out of here. Fuck out of every time we turn on To Catch a Predator, it's one of you motherfuckers. Like, I mean, cut the bullshit. So, I mean, they just have a warped, twisted, new identity that they're trying to create about themselves, this white nationalist identity, and that all white people are, they're all on the same page, and that it's just it looks like Nazism for real, for real. That they're all. I just watched what Nazi movies did I watch? I watched the first movie. I want to see the second movie, or was it the? No, it might be the first movie. Which one is it? The 2019? I gotta look. I was watching Iron Sky. Yeah, I was watching Iron Sky. I don't know whether I was watching the first movie or the second movie. I was watching one of them. It was the one where they had the moon base. They were on the moon, and then the shit broke out into nuclear war. It might have been the second movie. Might have been the second. But it wasn't that good. It just wasn't that good. And then it had like this weird scene where the fucking white woman's kissing a black man in front of the Nazi children at the end. It was weird, bro. It was weird. I was like, what the hell is this? Because I actually wanted to see the other movie, but I didn't get to see it. Like the one that was made in 2019, because I know there's at least two of them. I wanted to see that one. But anyway, these people are fucked up. That's all there is to it. It's pathological behavior. Their reign, if you want to call it that, really is coming to an end. I mean, even the rift between, white men and white women with their their political shit, even though we got the same thing going on in the black community. Where you have educated white women, are all, on the left, and then uneducated white men are all on the right. You know what I mean? Like that's a mess. That's a mess for any society, for any group of people. And again, like I said, these white people, like they're the dominant culture. They're the dominant ones. So when people try to compare or conflate, or not even conflate, but when they try to compare like black people's problems and white people's problems, like, it can't be compared. Black people are the marginalized group. Like, our problems are a direct result of the system of white supremacy. We're not in our natural environment. We're not in an environment where we're the dominant group. So our problems, and I'm not saying that we wouldn't have any problems, but our problems are definitely exacerbated by this system. But them white people, I'm like, y'all motherfuckers on top, fuck out of here. No, that demonstrates that there's an inherent flaw going on, with you and your society. That's not because you're oppressed. It's not because you've been redlined or you're marginalized. No. You might have some class warfare going on in your society, in your community and whatnot, but the idea that you're somehow being, oppressed by outside forces, fuck out of here. Nah, get the hell out of here. Get out of here. And this is where they usually come and they're like, no, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. And I'm like, okay, well, who's in cahoots with them? Who's forming Voltron with them? Why is it all of your leaders so-called kiss the ring when it comes to Israel? Answer me that. Answer me that. So if it is the little hats, well, you're doing it to yourself. It seems to me like all of your fearless leaders have been compromised because they were doing what? Sexual deviance on somebody's island, most likely, right? Right? But yet you all run around like you're the moral compass of the world, yet all of your leaders and even past presidents have been compromised by the little hats. Like, fuck out of here, man. Like again, it fucking reinforces my point. But yet you want to run around and point the finger and talk about how everybody else is, they're the real problem. They're the real deviants. And you're on top and you're deviant. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video, SWPL. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.
On the scene, diamond blingy, whole screen, checkerboard, Louis V. I'm so fresh and so clean. Stuff them bands in my jeans, snap them 30s in them things. Pull the trigger, let it sing. Then go smoke a Russian cream.
Move. Hold on. Yeah. Hello?
Where
Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!